Okay, moving on, we are now going to talk about area. So what we need to know about area is a two-dimensional measure. So whenever you get something, it's always going to be a squared unit. So for example, if you're dealing with something that's in inches, your answer will be in squared inches. If you're dealing with something that's in feet, your answer would be in squared feet, and so on. And with area, the rough description of area is it measures the stuff, in a two-dimensional plane. It measures like how many squares, kind of like the stuff in that two-dimensional plane. It's very different from volume though, which is three-dimensional. So we're going to look at rectangles and squares for this first video, and rectangles and squares. So we're gonna look at everything that's on this side right here on the left. So rectangle and square basically are the same formula. The only difference is with the square, your length and your width are the same thing. So they decide to write it as this a equals s squared. But pretty much for both of them, you can think of them as the area is just your length times your width. All right, and with a square, it just means they're the same. And I think if you remember it that way, it's just as effective and works very well. So let's use those and let's do some problems. So we've got this first problem here, number one. We've got a rectangle, and I can tell it's a rectangle because of the way these hash marks are. This one here corresponds with this one, and then this one here corresponds with that one. So if you've got that and the sides are not all equal, you have a rectangle. And I know it's a rectangle because of all the right angles in it. So to find the area, I would just do the length times width, which is going to be equal to 3 times 2. All right, and 3 times 2, last time I checked, was 6, and it's centimeters squared. And the reason it's centimeters squared is because it's 3 centimeters times 2 centimeters. And when you do that, you do the 3 times 2 times each other, and then you have a centimeter times a centimeter. So you get 6, and then if you think of this as a variable, whenever you have a variable multiplied by itself, it becomes squared. So if you want to think about it that way, think about it that way. So it would be 6 squared centimeters. All right, let's look at number 2. So for number 2, we have a square. All right, so, and the area of a square, they use this s squared, or if you think of it as length times width, but the length and the width are equal to each other, where length and width are equal to each other. So my side is 6, so it's 6 squared, or 6 times itself, right? That's what 6 squared means, 6 times 6. And then you get 36, and that would be inches squared, and it's squared for the same reason that we showed over here for the centimeters. All right, let's do 2 more quick examples. This should be pretty easy review for most of you. Square with side length 9 feet. So if this is my square, one side is 9 feet. That means the area of a square is going to be 9 squared. That gives me 81. And then my unit is feet, so it would be feet squared. And then that was number 5. And then for number 6, a rectangle with length 8 and width 2. So if you have something like this, your width is 2, your length is 8. It's a rectangle, so you've got this going on, even though I obviously didn't draw that very well. And it's centimeters. Okay, so you have your area formula would be your length times your width, so 8 times 2, right? Length times width, which gives me 16. And then my unit would be centimeters squared. All right, and that's how that works. It is that simple. Go forth and find area.